Hey Internet, this is Brandeska, and regardless of how you found me, you probably get the idea that I play some video games, namely Splatoon. And as it turns out, I enjoyed enough where I wanted to make a channel on YouTube and create some content involving it. This first video for the channel is going to let me test some waters and introduce myself a bit, as well as lay out a general idea of what my initial plans are and why I'm doing this in the first place. But to give some background about myself and Splatoon, I've been a big fan of the series since the first game was announced at E3 way back in the day. It looked new and wild and colorful, and the central gameplay mechanic of inking turf and swimming through your ink color across floors and walls had a sort of thinking with portals vibe to it that wasn't really a thing before Splatoon, and really there isn't anything like it since. But I got Splatoon 1 at launch and I loved it, but honestly never really played anything but Turf War, and after a while I just stopped playing altogether. I still had a really high opinion of the series. Like, if anybody asked me about Splatoon, I would tell them to go out and buy it immediately, and when they do, we should totally play it. But like, that, while I was able to get people to jump on board with Splatoon, I never actually did a whole lot of playing myself. Kind of counterintuitive that way. But yeah, I still had a really positive opinion on the game for like its art style and just like the characters and how the game is. Like, it was just really cool. But anyway, fast forward a little bit. When the Nintendo Switch and Splatoon 2 were announced, I was really excited for that. But after the game came out, I basically did the same thing I did with Splatoon 1. I kind of fell into a pattern where I didn't really venture outside of Turf War, and then I just kind of stopped playing. But a little later on, so a couple months after that, like, I hadn't played for months, and I went over to a friend of mine's house, and them and their daughter invited me to play some rounds with them. And after getting destroyed by what wasn't even a 10-year-old girl at the time, I realized that I had an awful lot of love for a game that, in actuality, I was complete garbage at. So at that point, I just started the grind of just getting good, learning other game types. Like, there's other stuff outside of Turf War. What a crazy concept! And, you know, I was just actually putting the time in on a game that I liked a lot instead of just talking about how much I liked it. So in that, I discovered that competitive Splatoon was interesting to me, and I wanted to play this type of game on that type of level. But I do want to, like, I don't know, I just want to play Splatoon in a way that makes me feel like I've accomplished something. And like, competition is a really good way to find that. But anyways, as I was launching into my renewed interest in Splatoon 2, I saw an ad on social media for a Splatoon 2 tournament /social that was being hosted by my local library. So I decided to go to that. I had a really good time and met some people from the local scene that introduced me to Squid West, which is basically a group of players and tournament organizers that have a Discord server geared towards Splatoon players based out of the North America Midwest, just to connect and organize events and find people to play with. Big shout out to them for basically allowing me a means to learn about the Splatoon competitive scene and just ask questions and like get into it in that way. And if you want to learn more about Squid West, they do have a Twitter account at Squid West. Go check them out. But after watching a lot of content on YouTube and Twitch for Splatoon 2 and kind of feeling out my own personal growth in the game, I decided I wanted to try making content as well, just kind of based on the experience that I had watching Splatoon 2 videos from various like competitive players and content providers across various streaming platforms. But since I've only been playing competitively for, you know, a couple of years, like at least at the time of this video's posting, I figured that gameplay in and of itself was only really going to be so interesting to watch. As of this video, I've never been X rank in any game type or participated in a major or anything like that. So I kind of want to make stuff that doesn't necessarily rely on like just the gameplay itself. Like, I just want to make stuff and like making stuff that I was going to do regardless and posting it. And then if anybody enjoys listening or watching to what I have to say or what I'm doing, then that'd be pretty cool, but it's not a requirement. I do enjoy doing voiceover work, so this works out pretty well that way. I figured outside of posting just videos of my competitive Splatoon adventure and talking directly about the game itself, I'd also get to make content that functioned like a podcast, where I would just kind of pick a topic and run with it for a few minutes. But sometimes I'll talk about Splatoon related topics, but I also want the freedom to talk about whatever feels worthwhile at the time, you know? This could be anything from talking about other games to how I'm deep weeb trash, or that I was a Sega Genesis kid growing up, fight me, and that I also love playing Smash Brothers and Halo, or that I had a weird experience at the supermarket the other day or whatever. But speaking of which, I may do videos that involve other games like Smash, or like, you know, gameplay from playing Smash, but Splatoon has been my primary game for a not insignificant amount of time, and so that's kind of where I see this channel being primarily focused, is on Splatoon related content. But that really means that a lot of my videos are going to be pretty kind of sporadic-ish as far as releasing, because I don't really have a schedule. I'm just posting it when it feels good, and if that actually were to develop anything that resembled a following, then it might change. But for right now, I just kind of want this to be a space where I can just put my stuff. But some of my videos might even have audio from like when I'm actually playing the matches. But for the most part, I'm going to be dubbing over just recently captured gameplay footage, just because that's easier for me. But like there's going to be stuff like just good old-fashioned highlights, clips, like montages, just kind of whatever feels cool at the time. But I'm sure this channel is going to just evolve over time as I learn more about what I like making and how. All things being equal, I wanted a place for my competitive Splatoon chronicling and gameplay highlights as I learn more about the game, and just a spot in general to post my game-related things. Some of which may have nothing to do with Splatoon, but probably a lot of them will. But that wraps up this video for now, and if you think you may be interested in watching this experiment as it unfolds, please consider liking this video, or even subscribing to my channel. But in the meantime, thank you so much for watching, and stay fresh.